Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Viva Football Show. This is the third episode of our new digital avatar, our YouTube channel, the Viva Football Show. Today's episode is all about the most awaited tournament since last year, which is finally happening this year with the fans inside the stadium. The countdown to the UEFA Euro 2020 has begun, and with me today is the team of Viva Football, the editor Ashish and the assistant editor from Toronto, Canada, Mohar Moge. So
Hi.
Mohar has been there with us since day one of Viva Football since 2016. He's been there right from following Pele in Kolkata to being there at Mumbai with Puyol and following the ISL and the I League activities parallelly with Viva Football. So hi Mohar and hi Ashish.
Hi.
Hi.
Great
Yeah.
to be on this show, today.
Yeah. So, Viva Football has grown parallelly with Indian football, right from the Indian Super League to Indian football. And you've seen the growth right from day one. So, with this new digital avatar of the Viva Football, which is the Viva Football Show, what do you think about the growth of Indian football as well as us, the Viva Football?
Okay, I'll go first then. So,
Yeah.
I think it's great. Basically, what we have been watching is India has a great audience when it comes to Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, and a lot of other football matches and events, right? But when it comes to Indian football, I think when we started our journey, it was all about Indian football and the Indian footballing audience.
Yeah,
And when it, when you talk about Indian footballing audience, we talk about Indian football fans who watch international football and leagues, and then there is a different category which is about fans watching Indian football itself. I mean,
right.
you watching a Manchester United or a Real Madrid is a different thing, and then you watching India play Bangladesh in the World Cup or Asian qualifiers is a different thing, right? So we were focusing on that category wherein we wanted to promote the Indian football fans and that culture, and that's how grassroots and everything came into our minds, and we started having those topics wherein we used to tap into the domestic practices and then practice sessions and press conferences wherein a certain player who was going to be the next best defender in Indian football was interviewed 4 years before. So
Yeah,
then people would then realize, okay, he's the best defender. Okay, but then we were trying hard to bring that person into glamour and into center of attraction way before, right? So that was one category. And secondly, we are also trying to tap into those international fans, Arsenal fans, Manchester United fans, all those club fans via contacting all those supporters and the youth supporter associations and their presidents and their fans and their events as well. So it was a good thought to get all of this together, and it was via print format. And I think print remains the essence of media, come
yeah,
what may. And now that we are evolving and social media, and especially in the last 2 years, you see everyone works from home. I work from home. You all work from home. And I think social media and digital media is the way to go forward. And I think what last 2 years have taught is, be it pandemic or be it anything, this is the best way to connect, and this is the best way to keep yourself going. You cannot feel let down. And sport as it is, we are in this, luckily we are in this field which is called sports, wherein that lifts your spirits. And I think digital, going digital was the way forward, and I'm so glad we are doing this right now, because had we stuck only to the print format, I think a lot of people would have felt left out, and I think they wanted to participate. And now I think they can participate come what may. All you need is to come online and chat like we are doing right now. So it's a great thing. I am so glad that we have evolved, we have progressed, and we are
yeah,
actually on track and going hand in hand with the modern day trends. So it's a great thing.
right.
I think for me, Indian market is a very peculiar market. They know at what time what to pick. Means when to watch a Manchester derby and when to watch a Kolkata derby. And the market is so huge that it accommodates all those football sentiments and football followings in one market. So that's why it's a great like a pleasure to cover all these football, right from I said to Southern Derby to Manchester Derby, and it's always always been a great working with football fans and football followers. And India, I always keep on telling, just don't look at us only as a quantity market. Yes, we have numbers, we have lots of numbers to throw, but along with the numbers, we have a huge passion and huge following. And that's why we chose to be in print, because we wanted to grow through grassroots, through schools, and kids literally used to jump at our magazines, watching their photos and watching all the matches and their heroes posters, like we used to do in our school and college days. So that's why it's a huge happening market. And the only evidence I can quote here is that ICC has asked to study Indian market, because there is a huge vertical and horizontal growth in Indian market, in Indian football especially. And they have asked to study that market, and they are following Indian football market, how cricket is to be grown in all other third world countries outside India and Australia and all those top 6 nations in the cricketing league. So that's very honor and pride for us, speaking on behalf of Indian football fans and Indian football fraternity as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So even
absolutely.
though we are divided by clubs in Europe, when it comes to watching matches of the Indian football team, we never miss the day and the day. So that
Yeah,
is a very great thing, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah. So now moving
100%.
on. Yeah.
Just to add a point, it is basically we are talking after our win against Bangladesh. So I think
Yeah.
that's a
Exactly.
great thing. We are it's a good timing to talk that Sunil Chetri goal and then to another goal
Yeah.
to wrap up the match. It's a good feeling right now that India is at least making those that small progresses and taking those small steps wherein we can actually compete with those teams, and people are have their eyes on us.
Yeah.
It's on us as to when and how we flourish. I think it will take some time. It will take maybe 10, 20, 30 years, but I think we are getting there slowly, and it's good to be a part of that process. It's kind of an intangible thing in terms of when we will become big, because players generally have a 10, 15 years career span. So
Career.
if
Yeah.
what happens if when Sunil Chetri goes and then who scores? So it's a different thing altogether, but I think it's great to be a part of that journey
Yeah.
wherein you can at least go on apps like Footmob and Google and say, okay, India is playing football. We check
Yeah.
Indian scores only when it comes to cricket, and when you see India 1-0 in 84th minute, it's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess
Yes,
it's
yeah,
just a
absolutely.
small step closer to a very bigger goal. And I guess we
Yeah.
are on that track and we'll reach there soon.
Oh, 100%. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So now we have traveled to Spain together to attend the World Football Summit in Madrid. And you yourself, Mohar, have also been to UK and you've studied sports management. So a note to all the listeners who are watching this episode right now. Mohar has pursued a degree in sports management. So, what is your experience about the curriculum and the academics, and how Indian football is perceived in the different countries out there?
Yeah, I mean,
Just to add to it for our
yeah,
viewers, more
yeah,
is at the moment in Toronto, Canada. So it's like all the way other side of the globe.
Yeah.
yeah. It's kind of a day-night difference, quite literally, right? So yeah, basically what happens, I mean, be it Spain or UK or even in Canada, the whole thing is India is basically known for its cricket, right?
Yeah.
And when you go to countries like UK, where cricket is there, but footballing madness is a different level. When you go to Spain, it's all football, and it's insane.
Yeah.
So, and then when you come to Canada, they have sports like basketball and ice hockey, and then
I saw.
cricket takes a very far shot. I mean, you have to go through a huge list to find cricket somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there are pockets because of the Asian community being here, and there are Sri Lankan and Caribbean community being here, but still cricket takes a far seat, not even a back seat. It's a far seat. So uh, my experience when I was in UK was a lot of colleagues and a lot of students who worked with me were interested in football. I mean, they are interested in being those agents who supply those players to Indian football.
Hmm.
And what ISL did was give that hope to others, European or maybe African agents, that yes, India could be the future China when it comes to going into your last stage of the career. And our goal as an Indian is that India could be one of those primary or at least secondary options, right? But
Yeah.
then it works both ways. While we are trying to improve, these players coming in, for example, like in the ISL, we saw Roberto Carlos come in, Andre Pirlo come in. Everyone was coming in. For them it was kind of a exhibition thing where
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
contributed to the development of Indian football, but for us it was watching those stars whom we actually dreamt of
absolutely.
while we were in the school and
Materazzi,
college.
Roberto Carlos,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Lucio, so many World Cup winners. So we were
Yeah.
Exactly.
privileged to watch them. Yeah,
Exactly, and David Trezeguet in the first season for FC Pune City
absolutely.
as well. For me, as a Punekar who was doing, into sports journalism, I was wearing a FC Pune jersey and then sitting in the stand just to watch David Trezeguet play. I mean,
Yeah.
there was no affinity to it being FC Pune City team. Yes, I'm a Punekar and it meant a lot, but still watching the match was only watching David Trezeguet, and then everything
Yeah.
took a different path. So I was literally there, but he did not start that match. But he came in the 50th minute and played the next 40. And all I was doing is watching him go
Watching.
travel.
Yeah,
Exactly. I wasn't watching the
Yeah.
match. I was watching him. But then that is how what got me to Balewadi, and that's what we needed to do is to attract stars and then tell players, okay, that's what we are doing for Indian football. And
Yeah.
I think be it in UK or be in Spain, what I've seen is people, for example, agents and all those players are seeing a pathway right now. Playing in Europe is
mm,
always the primary way, but then going to MLS, then China, and then
Hmm.
I think India is next. It is opening Indian football as in its arms, and they are perhaps seeing how the ISL has taken the football forward, how the Indian national team, Sunil Chetri, and all the other players. For example, I was talking to someone from uh, Greece that day, and we were talking about Udanta Singh. I mean, what are the odds that
Wow.
you would be talking to a Greek person about Udanta Singh and
Wow.
how he is quick on the wings, and
yeah,
then you have
yeah.
Lalan Zuala Changte, and then you have some people like I mean, how our defense is set up somewhere. So there are Europe.
Sandesh is there. Sandesh Jingan is there. So he's,
Exactly.
yeah,
Sandesh Jingan is there. So, I had a friend who was talking. Oh, Rahul Bhai takes a good throw in.
yeah.
The
Good
throw
throw. Yeah,
directly goes
absolutely.
to the box, and he has a
Box. Yeah,
long throw. I mean, there are agents who are tapping these players, and there are people who are wanting to get into Indian football, and basically that's a win for us right now because
Hmm.
10 years before, I don't think
no,
European people or maybe Americans in Canada or maybe USA had any eye on Indian
Right.
football when it came to domestic. We had a lot of
yeah,
fans in India who watched other football, but we did not have fans at all
Wow.
who watched Indian football. So it's kind of a transition, and I
Yeah.
think that's a huge step that we are taking. We are also on a lot of common groups on WhatsApp as well, wherein people talk football, and it's good to see that from minute 1 to minute 90 the WhatsApp group is buzzing. Red card,
Yeah.
yellow card, foul, oh, bad decision, good decision. It's like a European banter,
Update.
right? when
Live
you
update.
when you
yeah.
exactly exactly. For example, I'm a Manchester United supporter. If someone fouls Bruno Fernandes, I get angry and I directly start my banter. So it's
Yeah.
good that Indian football is talking the same way. Yesterday there was a foul by Bangladesh player, and people
Yeah.
were like,
Yeah.
that was a foul, that was a foul, that was a yellow. That
Penalty. Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's good that this discussion is happening in Indian football, and that's the best thing.
Yeah.
Another positive thing that I should mention here is that this means Indian Super League or Indian football market is looked just as a post retirement for many other Western football stars.
Yeah.
But now the trend is changing. All the young footballers
Young
from
stars.
Europe, from Spain or England, say they are into their mid 20s. They are choosing third or fourth level club in Spain or UK, then to
Oh yeah.
come to India because
Mhm.
they are getting huge stardom, huge exposure here, huge fan following, and they are trying
Absolutely.
their luck here in Indian market. So it's also a growing market for upcoming starts in Europe. So that's a very futuristic investment as far as Indian football is concerned.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I would just add one small point here that when I started my sports management degree in UK, I thought I was going to be left out in terms of participating on football development because a
Hmm.
lot of people and students were from Europe, and they had a lot to talk on football. I had a lot to talk on cricket, which they did not care at that time because that cricket was not a sport in Spain and Greece that they used to
Yeah.
play. But when I started talking, we Indians are good followers of international football, so we had that knowledge,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it felt good that they knew that ISL existed and they had a few uh, contacts in ISL. For example, I had a project partner who was the friend of Kostas Katsourakis, who played for FC Pune City.
Mm. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so you know Kostas, and he played for FC Pune City, and he's like, yeah, ISL is big. ISL is big in Europe. We have to be thinking of taking players to ISL, and the agents get good commissions.
Wow.
So it was good to know that they knew, right? So
Yeah.
that was the thing.
Yeah. So for
No, but
me,
here I must act as a devil's. No, here I must act as a devil's advocate. There is not only ISL but I League also there, and I League
yeah.
is
Oh
official
yeah,
league of India, and that is equally followed and equally worshipped per se into Indian football. So that's a footnote
Definitely.
that
oh,
I
100%.
must add.
100%. I think it becomes like a test cricket and Kerry Packer in one day international
Absolutely,
cricket. That test cricket
absolutely.
always existed. It's for purists and it will always remain. But for
Yeah,
what Kerry Packer did with World Series was colored clothing and ODI cricket, shorter overs, new trends
yeah,
and new substitutions
Yeah.
and international players. And then it became a package, which was it was basically like selling something in a new package, but which people attracted people with branding. So
Yeah.
I think yeah, I mean
absolutely.
I League has I mean with all due respect, I League will remain. It's a very good league and a foundational league. But what ISL did was spent money
Just
and
to
did
catch
branding.
eyeballs. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly, and they at least come to India and then see what happens. So it's kind
Yeah.
of that thing that
Yeah.
has helped a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So for
and one reference with
yeah.
the Mohar, I would like to add one note here also that we have a lot of young viewers for
Yeah.
Viva Football Show and for Viva Football Digital Media also. So for them, we will be having conducting special shows on sports career in
Oh,
sports
great.
management,
Nice.
and more would be largely participating in that.
Yes.
And we have a lot of connect with all other sports management institutes like NASM or ISM and various other institutes. So experts from those institutes would be coming on this platform to give a good kind of a counseling for our budding sports marketeers in the future.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
brilliant. That's brilliant.
Yeah. So for my generation, these days it's all about knowledge and the growth of football, be it international or national level football. And the player that connects India to Canada, where you are now, Mohar, is Ian Hume, who is the star in the Indian Super League. So, like having such connections and this knowledge and growth is a very important thing for my generation, who is
Yeah,
the
100%.
future for the next generation and who's
Absolutely.
the future of football.
100%. I mean, Ian Hume, FC Pune City Connect, and then other teams
Yeah.
as well.
Kerala Blasters
Kerala
and
Blasters as well. Exactly.
ATK, so he
E-
is like moved everywhere. Yeah.
Exactly. And the next player in big thing is Alfonso Davis, Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
He's from Canada. So
Yeah.
basically,
yes.
so he came to Canada as maybe a kind of a refugee, and now what he has done and what Canada has given him, and then he's now playing for Bayern Munich, and this is brilliant. And so there are interconnected stories, and I think for your generation, I think it will be good that you know that okay, European football is not just British players, Spanish players playing
Exactly.
in their own league.
Absolutely.
It's about international players coming and then playing all together, and it's kind of a cohesive unit.
Yeah, exactly. So now coming back to the most important topic of this episode is the UEFA Euro 2020, and it is the 60th edition of the Euros. So that is why it's been celebrated through the entire continent, and the matches are happening in various countries. So I want to ask both of you that which team do you think will lift this year's Euro, and who is your favorite player, or which player do you think that will be the star of this tournament?
I think you should go first, Ashish. I think.
Shoot. No, shoot. You should.
See, favorite player is Cristiano Ronaldo by a million miles. So I don't know if to be biased or not, but I think my bias says Ronaldo and I think it would be his swan song when it comes to European tournaments. Basically, Euros at least. World Cup would be there, but Euros and the World Cup are his, I think, the last two cracks at the Portuguese glory, as we would like to call it. And I think he's hungry, and whatever path he has taken in the past 2 years hasn't worked
Yeah.
that well. I think. I mean, Juventus wasn't a good decision anyway. I thought as a Ronaldo fan, but then because Juventus winning Serie A is like saying sunrise is in the east, right? So it's just it's going to happen. So what did Ronaldo contribute to Juventus's thing? Ronaldo in Manchester United, Ronaldo in Real Madrid won Champion Leagues. So Champions Trophy was a different thing. But I think Ronaldo is hungry. I think the last final, I was literally in tears when Ronaldo got injured with a tackle from
Yeah.
Dimitri Payet of France, and I was like, okay, that's the final done for Portugal. But then Eder scored that in the extra time, and that's how. And if you saw that Ronaldo was involved in managerial activity in the last 5-7 minutes, and it meant so much to him.
Yeah.
And I think that's my bias. So if you ask me who is my favorite player, it will be Ronaldo, even if he plays at the age of 50. But still, I think Portugal is way beyond Ronaldo. Bernardo Silva, Rui Patricio,
João
Bruno
Felix.
Fernandes, João Felix.
Yeah.
So
João Felix.
exactly. So we are now talking of players who are there, who have done there. One plays for Atletico, one plays for Man City, one plays for Manchester United. So we have a global presence. We are not always talking about Ronaldo and that's it.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be like, okay, pass it to Ronaldo and he'll do everything. Like it was to some extent in the last Euros. So I think people are paying a lot of attention to Belgium and France because of those glory players. But I think exactly. But I think Portugal. I would want Portugal to win, but I also think Italy is one of the, stronger candidates because when it comes to the main leagues, they just have this switch on button wherein they switch on, and because Italy missed the World Cup qualification, it is going to hurt them big time. Italy have gone from winning it under Fabio Cannavaro and the boys to being not
2006
exactly to not being able to qualify. So it's going to hurt big time. So I think Portugal and Italy are the two teams that I see doing very well, but I would want Portugal to win. And yes, there are Germany, of course, Germany and England, because I was in England. Then there is a bias for I have stayed in England and I love English players. I love Premier League, Manchester United, Rashford plays there, everything. So all those factors come into play. And Germany, because I've been following their football for the last 20, 25 years, and Michael Ballack and Miroslav Klose. But I think if you ask me one team, I would say there are two for me. Portugal or Italy. So it's kind of those underdogs team that are going to surprise. And and to be very honest, Portugal are in that group of death. So I would like to see Portugal get one over France and then do something magic. So I'm very excited for that. Yeah. That's from my end.
For me, it's like England by heart and France by head. Actually, England, because we all have a huge impact of English Premier League, and right from the days of FA Cup and the league, the olden league, when we used to buy all those video cassettes to watch the FA Cup games back in 90s. So it has a huge impact on Indian football. Plus, ES Sports also, they are broadcasting and telecasting the way, and they're providing the data and all the broadcasting revolution in the Indian football has been by the knowledge partner and technical collaboration with EA Sports. So English football has literally like huge impact on Indian football. So, and English club also, they are like quite competitive. You see 7-8 teams fighting for the championship, and there is a good lot of global presence also nowadays into English football. So that's why England should win. But when it comes to big tournament, they are the best losers and the best chokers. So I know the way they have played in few practice games we had. But mind you, we have seen English football for under 17 FIFA World Cup, which was organized in India 2017. That time also we have seen their practice games ahead of the main tournament. Phil Foden, we were fortunate to see him grow from that 2017 World Cup. But at the tournament, the hunger for the younger generation of India English football is tremendous. And if you see this squad of English football, like Harry Kane seems to be a very oldish guy, even though he is
Yeah.
into his 20s.
Yeah.
But all other young crop of Indian English football is very hungry for that lifting for
Yeah.
that cup that they have been missing since 1966. So they should
Yeah.
go up.
100%.
They should, three lions should have that fighting spirit at the end of the day.
Hmm.
But I don't means it's like a 50-50 for me as of now. And France, because they are quite honest footballers. Like Kante is like best example for that. So you have a lot of fame and money and whatnot into international football nowadays. But French footballers are quite honest. They are down to earth. They are very much committed to their football,
Yeah.
nothing else. That's why, as a unit, they play a superb football. They play a very genuine football. They don't have any gimmickal football or theatrical football like Ronaldo. Pardon me. So French football is like very genuinity. I really feel their genuinity, and they have a very strong support system as well. So, and Didier Deschamps, one of my favorites, since I was a football player and I used to play at center half. Deschamps was my one of my idols. So he being the coach, I think they can go a long way. Draw is also favoring them. So these two are on my top list. Belgium, they should give justice to their FIFA ranking.
Ranking.
They have a huge, they have a huge talented bunch of players. They should give justice to their potential at the end of the day. Germany and Italy, they are quite dangerous when it comes to big tournaments. They are giant
Exactly.
killers.
Yeah.
They seize that one moment and win the game for you. I remember 1990 World Cup when Italy went on winning 1-0, 1-0. Germany also went on winning with close matches, and it was like ultimately Germany won that World Cup. So big tournament is their favorite opportunity to show their skills.
Yeah.
So these are the team. Holland and Spain might be. Let's see how they
Yeah.
perform. Is their faith is totally at their hands.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I generally believe Germany stand a good chance. I mean, I would like them to do well, at least make the semis, because I've always liked Germany because they work as a team. I mean, they are called the Mannschaft for a reason, right?
Yeah.
So they work like a
Yeah.
machine. They work like an engine. So it's everything is well oiled like a good German car.
Yeah.
So and the issue is they are all in tandem. There's no huge superstar. I mean, there
No
has
single star. Yeah.
exactly the
Yeah.
captain. Germany were under Philipp Lahm. They have Joshua Kimmich in between. They
Yeah.
have Tony Cruz. I mean, you don't have huge superstars, and the Bundesliga is not very, very, very popular in terms of
Yeah.
TRPs.
Yeah.
So it's always an advantage for them that okay, nobody rates them high, but when they perform, then by the time of quarterfinals, you realize, oh, this team has grown like a slow
Yeah.
poison, and
Absolutely.
then
Yeah.
they work like a team, and
Yeah.
you have anyone from the bench, they'll do as good as the previous person.
Yeah.
It's not a deal of okay, I have the best playing 11 and the worst bench. So that's why I like Germany. They're like a team, and I would like to add a point to England's thing. Why I would like England to even win the World Cup, because I have a lot of, I mean, emotional connect with England and the love for Premier League. But the only issue has been at English football is fast paced and physical.
Yes.
There were three
Absolutely.
English teams in Champions League and Europa League. Nobody was rested.
Yeah.
Even in the warm up matches, Trent Alexander Arnold
Yeah.
has
Absolutely.
been
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
injured.
going
We
to
have
miss
seen
And
the
his injury.
tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly, and because it's a fast paced physical tournament, you
Very
might have
demanding nowadays. Yeah.
exactly, so you have to do that for 38 matches, and be it the number 19th team or be it the 20th team, or be it the fourth team, it doesn't matter, be it Bournemouth,
Yeah.
Burnley, or Liverpool, you have to play the same kind of brand of football.
Same
And
intensity. Yeah.
exactly, so Trent Alexander Arnold has to bomb that wing every day, single day in day out. Then he has to play for England, then he has to play Champions League qualifiers, Europe, whatever, FA Cups and League Cups and everything. What it does is you have a knock somewhere in the body.
Yeah.
All you need is that one instant to take you
Yeah.
apart, and that's what happened, right? So English football is never been supported by the scheduling of the FA, and even if you saw the Europa League, Villarreal had 2 extra days as compared
Yeah,
because
yeah.
La Liga shifted their
Absolutely.
match. Happened with the
Mm.
Champions League as well. I mean, and
Mm.
happens every year. Be it Jose Mourinho, be it Ole Gunnar
Mm.
Solskjaer, be it Jurgen Klopp. Everyone complains that the FA doesn't
Mm.
adjust. People play on Thursday nights and Sunday mornings.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It was so
exactly,
tiring for fans also to watch
Exactly,
those
exactly.
games on TV.
ex-
It was like, "Arey,
exactly,
every day and out you make that EPL team. What shit, yeah." So
exactly.
it was
So
very tiring.
exactly. United played on a Wednesday, a Saturday, a Wednesday,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Yeah,
Saturday.
yeah.
We had to actually play our academy players.
Yeah.
So it was
Yes.
that bad. So I think English football has that disadvantage as compared to other teams.
Others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing I would like to mention about Germany is the main man, their wall, which is Manuel Neuer,
Yeah.
recently won
Yeah.
100 caps and who's the only
Yeah.
German goalkeeper to have the guard of honor. So he is
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
unstoppable and the main obstacle for all the other countries. And about England
100%.
is that
Absolutely.
after they qualify for the round of 16, one thing I would like to ask both of you is that they will be competing against the group of death in the round of 16. So every match for
Yeah.
England in the knockout stages is like a final. And
Yeah.
for this team,
Absolutely.
which with the complicated and complex dynamics, how difficult it will be for them to surpass their obstacles right from the round of 16.
I think it's going to be very difficult. England is going to be very difficult. Like I said, English clubs rivalry I mean, firstly, English club rivalry is so much
Yeah,
that we know these players, and to be very honestly, being very humble and with all due respect to England, we know all these players because the following of Premier League is very
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Absolutely.
Why
definitely.
people do not know Spanish players that much is not because they are bad or equal or less
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
It's because they don't follow Spanish leagues to an extent you follow Burnley players or even Bournemouth players. So if
yeah,
Yeah.
Liverpool plays Bournemouth, you know Bournemouth players also. But if
yeah,
Real Madrid play Ibar, you do not know Ibar players.
yeah,
That's the whole thing. So I think the favorite tags for England comes with the fact that the exposure for the English Premier League is so much. And even if tomorrow Bukayo Saka or Phil Foden plays, you watch them because they have this fast-paced
Yeah.
brand of football, and they are
yeah,
youngsters. It's I mean it's like a Premier League having an English tag makes you that much exposed to the world. So
yeah.
that's why I think England starts favorites. But when England plays the group of death
Mm,
teams,
yeah.
I'm telling you, England are not the favorites. So basically, when it comes to England and the knockouts, I think England are not going to be favorites if it's a team like France or Portugal or any other big team for say, because what's going to happen is the pressure of failing in the past might play on their head. I mean, take the World Cup, they did not make it through after semis, but in
Mm.
semifinals they played a defensive game. I don't know for what. That was not a proper English style of play. And you have seen in the past, in 96, I think, Gareth Southgate missed a penalty against Germany,
Yes. Yes.
and
Yeah.
that knocked them out. And then David Beckham missed a penalty a
Yes.
few
Hmm.
years
He
later.
scooped it up in the skies. Yeah.
Exactly. He hit a six in cricketing terms. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it was so unusual for all of them to miss. The other day, Jordan Henderson missed a penalty. I mean, he took the
Yeah.
ball from Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and he wanted to
Yeah.
take the penalty as the captain, and basically
Oh,
he took the ball and he missed a penalty. It was, I mean,
Mm.
England and penalties is a big thing. I don't know what. And the thing is, other teams are going to be strongest because they have a lot more experience of winning, and the players do not have the pressure on them. Some teams, some countries don't even expect those countries to win the cup. Even if
yeah,
they
Win. Yeah.
go through semifinals, they're happy. But with England, this time the cup is ours. It's like RCB in IPL. A Salah Cup
yeah,
Namade. This year the cup is ours. So it's
yeah,
you have the hashtags
Euro
bring it
Cup,
home.
Euro Cup, Euro Cup Euro coming home. Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
So the World Cup is it's coming home. It's coming home.
Yeah.
So you have the entire press. You have a lot of Premier League followers. Then you have the players who know that it is time for them to win after
Hmm.
20-25 years of dominance of Premier League and the
Right.
sponsorships kicking. Everyone watches them. Every player in the English team, be
Yes,
it Ben White or be it Jordan Pickford or be it Henderson or Sam Johnston,
Hmm.
everyone knows who these players are and which clubs they play for. with
Yeah.
with other teams it's not
exactly.
the case. So when you are, I mean, it's
Mm,
like India playing the World Cup at home. It's a big thing when people are watching you. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
So I think they won't start favorites, and like you said, and like or the question was, it's going to be extremely hard. If England are able to get through the semis and the finals, I think they would have deserved it even more
Hmm.
than any other tournament,
Yeah.
because the route to finals would be harder. It won't be like
yes,
Yeah.
playing a
Exactly.
smaller team and then going through.
Yeah. So I hope that they are
yeah, and
ready to handle this pressure. And if
Yeah.
not, they have
exactly.
to plan the tournament strategically and finish second. So they will face some of the easier teams in the round of 16, if not. So I hope they are ready
That
for all sorts of
which could
pressure.
backfire, which could
Yeah. Yeah.
backfire,
Exactly.
That too.
which could
No,
backfire
but the
because yeah, yeah, go
yeah,
on.
critical point for me is to handle the mental pressure.
Hmm.
More
Yeah.
mention about the physical fatigue, and that is showing on the ground. So another very important aspect is mental fitness and mental fatigue. After playing such a rapid fire season, that too after COVID pandemic, mentally the players are must be damn exhausted, and to again rejuvenate that mental energy
Mhm.
and to keep that morale high. Okay, fans are there, is their home tournament, the final games would be in England, they will start at the world famous Wembley. But leaving that apart, the mental strength and mental fitness
Hmm.
will be the key for England. So
Yeah.
let's see,
Yeah, absolutely.
we'll just see on the grounds what the England team.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
just a small addition. I mean, this is not just this season.
Hmm.
1920 season was also halted in Jan. Then there was no
hmm,
football.
hmm.
Then it began in
Yes.
April, May. It ran till July, and then again the new began in August,
Again,
September.
Yeah.
immediately. Yeah, August,
So for
September.
the last two
Absolutely.
years, there
So,
has been no rest for the players. So many players have
yes.
got injured, and English Premier League is one of those fewer leagues with Serie A and
Hmm.
Spanish La Liga that have continued the league because of
Yeah.
sponsorship and commitments. Other countries
Yes,
like
yes.
Netherlands and other all European countries, they scrapped the league, they
Yeah.
scrapped the
Hmm.
season.
Hmm.
Premier
Hmm.
League, La Liga, Serie A had to continue because of the commitments. So the players have become kind of a commodity, and
Hmm.
that is perhaps something
Yeah.
that might show on the ground. And when it comes to England,
Yeah.
like you said, the fact that we are talking about England right now,
So much. Yeah, absolutely.
exactly,
That shows.
that
Yeah.
shows how the world looks
Yeah.
at them, and even
Hmm.
we are talking
Uh,
right now. So basically that's the whole thing.
yeah. But as far as Anaya is concerned, I'm sure she must be having lot to say about one team, that is Spain.
Oh, oh yeah. So now here's the irony. My favorite player is Cristiano Ronaldo. My favorite club is Real Madrid. The country I'm supporting for Euro is Spain, but there is no single Real Madrid player in the team. And the manager of the Spain team is a Barcelona manager. So I have
Yeah, yeah,
like
absolutely.
no words and comments on that. I don't know what the rivalry is. I at least expected Sergio Ramos to be in the squad, even if Isco and Asensio were not being played by Real Madrid
Yeah,
in their top 11. But at least Sergio Ramos, I wanted him to play. But still, no matter what, I will be supporting Spain. But it's
yeah,
something weird this season. I don't know what.
I know, I agree.
I sincerely believe that whatever points Anya raised, I sincerely believe that it doesn't have any kind of a correlation into that, especially the coach and Real Madrid
I hope
being not
not.
included in the team.
uh,
I
yeah,
hope
even I
not.
hope not, but it's a bit fishy. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the presence of Pau Torres in the defense and then you have
Hmm.
David De Gea, who I don't think might even start. I don't know what's the issue with the Spanish goalkeepers right now. The defense looks a bit shaky. And
Hmm.
Pau Torres is there because he has had a wonderful season at Villarreal, and Villarreal has won the Europa League, everything. But I
Yes.
genuinely believe even if Harry Maguire is injured, or maybe Jordan Henderson is injured, you have to at least have them in the
Yeah.
squad,
Yeah.
even if you're not playing them, because you need a
Exactly.
leader. And
Exactly.
I think, be it any team, be it Chelsea, you have Olivier Giroud on the bench, who Thomas Tuchel has always said that
Yeah.
he is a leader on the pitch.
Yeah.
Benzema is a leader on the pitch for
Yeah.
Real Madrid. And I think
Yes.
you need to have those leaders who have been there, done that. And Sergio Ramos is a perennial
Exactly.
winner. And I think you could have at least played him for the first half, maybe, or maybe if you're going,
Absolutely.
if you're
And
protecting a lead, you could play it from the last 30 minutes. Could have
yeah.
had him. I think that might miss. And Spain is not a strong squad right now, but it's a good formidable squad as we define it.
Hmm.
Every World Cup tournament, you see Spain as the favorites, but you
Yeah.
just never know. They might come from nowhere and make Anna happy by winning. They might.
I
Just
hope
happen.
they do. I hope they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now we are going to end this episode with a very fun rapid fire session, which is going to be a prediction zone. So I'm going to
Okay.
read out the teams who are being separated into groups, and both of you, including me, are going to tell which teams do you think, according to you, will finish at the top two. And the groups
Okay.
D, E, and F will have three top players who will qualify for the round of 16. So we will start with Group A, which includes Italy, Switzerland, Turkey, and Wales. First, Ashish will start. Then Mohar, you will continue, and I will end with the group.
Okay.
Italy and Wales.
Okay.
Clear bias for Wales.
Okay. So I would go for Italy and Turkey.
Okay. So I would go for Italy and Switzerland. That is interesting.
Oh,
Are you
Now,
going just because there's a team left there, or you
no,
really
no, no,
believe?
no, no. I really want Switzerland. Yeah, at the
Okay.
top.
Okay. Brilliant. Brilliant. So that's a good coincidence to have in the first
Yeah,
group itself.
exactly. So now Group B is Belgium, Denmark, Finland, and Russia.
Belgium and Denmark.
Same. Belgium, Denmark.
Yeah, for
Without
me
a
it's
doubt.
also the same. Yeah, Belgium, Denmark.
No, I was like tossing between
Russia?
Denmark and Russia.
Yeah.
But I like Danish attacking flavor of football, and Russia
Yeah.
is not that. They are really lull and dull kind of a playing style.
Yeah.
So Belgium and Denmark.
I think
Belgium
Denmark
for sure.
has. Yeah, and I think Denmark has
Hmm.
better players, Christian Eriksen,
Yes.
and then
Yeah.
Kasper Schmeichel
Hmm.
in the goal and everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I think that should
absolutely.
be Belgium, Denmark. I see Belgium would be a group winner, I feel, and Denmark would be
Yes.
number 2.
Yeah. Perfect. So now Group C is Austria, Netherlands, North Macedonia, and Ukraine. Different group. Yeah.
Holland and Ukraine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same, Netherlands and Ukraine. I think this group is self-explanatory. I hope so, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, it's also the same, Netherlands and Ukraine. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was obvious.
No,
So
but
now,
Austria, exactly.
yeah.
That's the same thing happened. That Austrian, we don't know the players
Hmm.
exactly
Yeah.
where they play, what
Yeah,
kind of
true, true.
formation they do. I literally go back to 90s when Denmark and all these Scandinavian countries, they have shocked all the major stars of European countries. So in a
Absolutely.
way,
Okay.
Austria in
Yeah.
that time also in World Cup of 90 and 94, they did a quite a decent job. So you never
Yeah.
know. Once Austria can beat Ukraine and
Mhm.
qualify at the second place. So let's see, keep it at the
Yeah.
third position.
I think that's a good point, because I think Austria has players like David Alaba. So
Hmm.
Yeah.
so basically, what I think is Austria might be the third team to go.
Yeah.
So
Mm,
in that qualification, where your best, I mean, 4
But
top 3
they-
go. So I think they will be good.
they'll definitely give a run for the money.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
North Macedonia is completely, I think they are going to play for
Absolutely.
experience, and
Sorry,
might just
sorry
have
to say, yeah.
a random
Yeah.
draw to make things difficult for
And
these big teams. Yeah.
qualifying is a huge achievement for them. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
that's it.
True.
Yeah.
True. Absolutely.
So now Group D is Croatia, England, Czech Republic, and Scotland. This is going to be
So
interesting.
England is obvious choice.
Yeah.
And second, I am juggling between Croatia and Czech Republic, but I'll go with Croatia.
Yeah.
Just only for Luka Modric.
Yeah.
I still remember him crying after that World Cup.
Yeah.
So I really love him. He's also very genuine, hardcore footballer. So for him, definitely Croatia.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm going for England and Czech Republic. I genuinely believe Czech Republic is going to be the.
Dark horse.
I think, yeah, exactly. The dark horse, and Czech Republic versus Croatia is the key game, and I think Czech Republic is going to win this time. Croatia, I think, had a lot of aging players last time around, and there is a transition going on. So I think Czech Republic, yes, Croatia might go through as the third team, but Czech Republic would be second, is what I believe.
Yeah, it's great that even though you are a Real Madrid fan, Mohar, you don't have that bias for Croatia and Luka Modric. So it's great. Yeah.
If I start having biases for Manchester United and Real Madrid players, I think the entire Euro would be covered. So because then I would have to say Austria also because of David Alaba now.
Yeah.
So
no, but in very first line, he has cleared his all biases and only for that one man, Ronaldo. So that's it. Done and dusted. Euro is done and dusted. So.
Yeah, exactly.
So even if not for the first two positions, Croatia can qualify for the third spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because the groups, because the teams from the groups D, E, and F, the third position teams are also going to qualify for the round of 16, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I genuinely believe that, okay, once, I mean, if 16 are going through, the top two will eventually go. I mean, and I think if we have 4 teams and 6 groups, 24. So 8 teams have to go out. So I mean, teams like North Macedonia would I mean, go, but then teams like Croatia and Austria, and they have a good chance to be among those top 4 third ranked teams. So I think
perfect.
What's your take?
Yeah, so mine is England and Croatia, obviously, and the third one, the third team I want is Czech Republic. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a player called Scott McTominay in Scotland, but that's okay.
Exactly, but that's what I was going to tell you. Don't underestimate the power of common man.
Exactly.
So don't underestimate Scotland. They have
Scotland, good defense.
Very gritty team, good defense, good, strong, and all means they are physically fit players and very hard to score against Scotland. I fear that England would have a goalless draw against Scotland in their opener. So
exactly something that I was thinking. England's once it's a UK rivalry, right? So England versus Scotland is going to be a nightmare for fans because it's going to be players like Scott McTominay, Andrew Robertson of Liverpool, Kieran Tierney of Arsenal, and John McGinn of Aston Villa. So there are players who are very good. So England, Scotland could be a 0-0 or could be a 92nd minute 1-0 to Scotland.
Definitely.
It cannot be. And then England will have again the pressure to perform in the third group game to qualify for, and it can go mad because Scottish fans are very aggressive and they would love to go one up on England. I'm 100% sure.
But that would be a blessing in disguise for England if they qualify with the third position. They will avoid all these Germany, France, and Portugal. So
so that could be the way to go actually.
Yeah, they can also play strategic.
But then FIFA investigation committee would be in like they would be busy in watching all those games in Euro.
So now moving forward to the group E, it's Poland, Slovakia, Spain, and Sweden.
I'll go to Spain and Sweden. Sorry for Lewandowski.
Okay. I can literally see Spain and Poland qualifying, Lewandowski scoring goals, and then Zlatan posting that if I'm not picked for Sweden, Sweden doesn't go through. That's it. I can see this social media post by Zlatan Ibrahimovic that if I am not there, Sweden can't go through. The God is sitting outside. So it's kind of that way that I'm looking at it. So Poland and Spain for me.
No, but I'm giving Poland the third place chance. So Poland would be there for the pre-women's knockouts.
So mine is Spain, Poland, and then Sweden. The third place is Sweden.
Right.
Because I
Right.
think Lewandowski, you share your birthday with Lewandowski.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm not
Robert
sure.
Lewandowski is my
So-
personal bias because I share my birthday with him.
No, I like him
Okay.
because I mean I genuinely feel he should have got the Ballon d'Or last year if he
Yeah,
had.
Absolutely.
He
Yeah.
had done
exactly.
everything to get that. So but yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
it's a good thing. I mean, if you share your birthdays and it goes through, we'll perhaps celebrate that Poland going
Yeah,
forward.
definitely, definitely. And now to the group of death, Group F, Germany, France, Portugal, and Hungary.
France at number 1, Germany at number 2, and Portugal
Portugal.
maybe number 3.
Oh, okay.
Because
I
number 3, all other teams are competing for the number 3, best number 3.
Yeah.
I am somehow sure that France and Germany and Portugal are going through for 1, 2, 3. But also there is a thing which tells me if this group is so tough, the third team might suffer a lot. And because if France wins against Germany and Portugal wins against Hungary, and then Germany beats Hungary, and then the last game is a
Absolutely.
draw,
Yeah.
then Portugal might just end with 1 win and 1 draw, which might not be enough. So I
Right.
genuinely feel it would be France, Portugal 1-2, Germany just going through third, and then Germany. Yeah, okay. Then I have a huge romantic story for this ahead. So I can build my castle around that. But I think France, Portugal.
It's like Sachin playing World Cup final at 1KD. So
Yeah.
Exactly. So what I think is Germany is going to be the slow starters. People will, okay, France is winning and everything is winning. But when Germany actually goes through the knockouts, they might just be someone who can reach quarters, semis, and finals like this.
Yeah.
Because they have this experience. So, but yeah, 1 and 2, I think France and Portugal.
Yeah. So for me, it's very difficult. It's just about the number game. I think it's going to be France and Portugal because of the team, and because they, even if they have the star players, they have a cohesive team, and Portugal to have a cohesive team this time. And Germany, I also have a personal bias for the team, but I think they'll finish third.
Yeah, I just to make it clear, I mean, if you ask my heart, I would want Portugal and Germany to go through, and I would love France to be third, and then whatever happens to them, whatever happens to them. But then, if you ask my head, it says France first and Portugal, Germany second, third. So, so yeah, I'm just trying to be very rational because I don't want to get ahead of myself. But then, yeah, that's it.
And now since Ane has opened this Pandora's box, I'm stretching it rapid fire further. It's Belgium versus France and Holland versus England semi-final. What do you guys say?
Oh,
Belgium. I think Belgium will go out in quarterfinals.
I think France will win. Yeah,
they are playing against. They might be playing against Italy in quarterfinals. So there is a chance that Italy will win.
Yeah.
I'm saying if there's a chance, I'm saying Italy, France, Germany, and Portugal.
Okay.
I'm also predicting England to go out in quarters.
Okay.
And I think Italy. I don't know if this can happen with those combinations because I haven't gone in that much detail. But if Italy, France, Germany, and Portugal can be in whatever combination. I mean, Italy might play Germany, or Italy might play Portugal, or Italy might play France. I don't know. But I think these four teams, Italy, because it's kind of a very, very, very compact defensive unit with a good attacking surprise in there. So you can have a Chiesa or any Insigne or Immobile, anyone. And France, because it's France and start to bottom is a starter team. Portugal, because we have said beyond Ronaldo, they have a lot of players. And Germany, because once they go into knockouts, they are so experienced that they know how to get those matches through on experience.
But three of us agree that if Portugal will be number 3 place at the group of death, then they might face Holland, France, or Spain.
I would love them to face Holland.
And I would love them to face Spain as they did in the friendlies right now.
Okay.
No, but
so see, that would be first round knockout game for them.
But
so
I
that's
believe
why Portugal
would be second.
like England.
Yeah, I
Then
had
all the
I had predicted the same, but if it's Spain versus Portugal, then it is going to be a disastrous match for me then.
then if Portugal is second, then they might face England.
Oh, brilliant! I would take a Cristiano Ronaldo win over and running at Wembley.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would love that.
definitely, definitely. I don't care if they have Phil Foden, Mason Mount, and all the other star players in England. I want Ronaldo to score. That's it.
So yeah, so basically,
But Anaya, if Portugal wins against England, then quarterfinal they can face Spain. So your wish also would be completed.
Yeah, so
Fulfilled. Yeah.
going one step at a time, there are going to be a lot of permutation and combinations, and the knockout stages
Absolutely.
are going to be a disaster for those who support multiple teams, and they are going to be very interesting who've chalked out the entire the tournament like you.
Absolutely. No, but one final comment I would like to make here is like last Euro Cup, we have seen teams like Iceland and all that. They are just like having a dream run, fairy tale,
Yeah,
not fairy tale end exactly, but a dream run.
yeah,
This year's Euro would be like dominated by all the star-studded and ranked team, I believe. So that's why final eight would be, or final four would be typical European clash, like we
yeah.
had in 2006 World Cup semi-final.
yeah,
So that would be like takeaway for me.
yeah, could be, and I think teams like Czech Republic would
Hmm.
be one of those teams where people won't talk about them, but people will talk about them once they go to knockouts.
Right.
I think some
Absolutely.
teams people only talk when they qualify to quarters and semis.
Yes.
It's kind of like the tennis scenario where you
Hmm.
sometimes don't know the players, but you
Exactly.
start watching the player
Exactly.
because they play an exciting brand of sport,
Right.
and then you start watching and then you start loving. Because Croatia also, if you take out non-Real Madrid players, not Real Madrid fans,
Yeah.
nobody gave a chance to Croatia. But then because they were the
Absolutely.
underdogs who were doing well
Hmm.
and screwing up others' chances, people started, oh, Croatia, such a good team, small, what a story, what a fairy
Yeah.
tale, what a beautiful.
Exactly.
So sport like football has the stories, right? We all like some footballing, cricketing,
Yeah.
tennis, romance in there, and
Perfect.
you don't want to be a robot where everything goes the way you want it to, right? So if
Exactly.
someone surprises you and if it's not at the cost of your own team, it's still fine. But I think,
Absolutely.
yeah, so if tomorrow Czech Republic gets to final and plays Portugal and Portugal wins the World Cup, which is very hypothetical, but I would love it because it has knocked out all the big teams, right? So all those, so apply the Premier League logic. If you
Yeah.
are a Manchester United fan, if you're an
Hmm.
Arsenal fan, you wouldn't want Chelsea to win, right?
Right.
You
Right.
would rather want some other team
Other
from
team to
other
win.
league to
Exactly.
win,
Exactly.
exactly, because you are the closest rival. So it's kind of that. If I'm Portugal supporter or if I'm German supporter, I wouldn't want someone like a France or a Spain to win because
Hmm.
we are kind of the big powerhouses. So if not me, then not you as well. Someone else might take it. That's okay. So I think this is going to be the best part about the Euros.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And for football, always there is expect the unexpected. So
Yeah,
Exactly.
you never know.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Mohar and Ashish, for this insightful episode. And Mohar, we will definitely be connecting again to dig into some other vast topics that have been risen this year, uh, football topics, obviously. So, this was the third episode of the Viva Football Show. And for all the viewers, you can also send us your predictions. And if you've chalked out your Euro 2020, you can definitely send it to us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. So thank you so much, Mohar and Ashish, for joining this episode. I personally had a great time and I cannot wait for the tournament to start. The countdown for the tournament has already
Absolutely.
begun. It's just a few hours away. So let's see if our favorite teams work out and reach the final. And if not, let's see who surprises us in this season.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, I think we should have a show after the Euros or maybe during the
Yeah,
Euros to
yeah,
see
perfect.
if
Yeah.
what we predicted in the rapid fire also
Exactly.
turned true. And I think this was something that we can go on discussing for 8-10 hours. But I think it was a good
Exactly.
show today, and it was pleasure coming on here. I think we should have these discussions quite often.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining. This was the Viva Football Show, episode 3. Thank you and adios. So this was the third episode of the Viva Football Show. Don't forget to subscribe our new digital avatar, the YouTube channel Viva Football Show. And for detailed content, don't forget to subscribe for our magazine, the Viva Football Magazine, which is India's only football magazine in print format. I personally enjoyed this episode and I hope that you too did enjoy this episode. Stay tuned for more. The countdown for Euro 2020 has started. Let us know who you support in this tournament and let us know your predictions on our social media platforms on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. See you soon. Adios.